Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and hunt the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is F1 2018. I'm into week 38 of the Gaming Decathlon competition, but this is just week 2 since this game came out, and this is episode number 3 overall. Today, we're in China for the Chinese Grand Prix, the third race of the inaugural season of this Road to Glory series with Williams Racing. So, by rule, 10, 9, 8, 7, that's 4 spots, into the scoring. I move up the difficulty by 4, and that's never going back down regardless of future results. So as I get better at the game, I make the game tougher each and every time until I eventually max that out. It is free practice number 2. This is the only one scheduled to be raining. But I'm out getting a lap in simply because, looking at the forecast, qualifying is going to be dry, the rest of the practices will be dry, race day should be dry, except, according to the timing, if the race goes a little long, or maybe right at the end of the race, we might see some rain. So I'm going to go ahead and get a lap in at least to get used to the feel here. And this Williams, it's struggling really bad for grip here in the rain. But I'm going to move the rest of my practice programs to FP3 to get that completed up in time for qualifying. Finding as I'm going through this practice program that this car, the Williams, that Mercedes engine makes such a difference in this car. The car is crap, but I'm figuring that I've got straight line speed. So tracks where that's going to matter, I can score in the points, at least until the difficulty level gets up to a point where the other cars are going to outpace me regardless, because of the corners are going to have such an impact. But for now, I can make my way relatively slow through corners, as long as I can get the speed down enough to control the car. And it's not the easiest car to control, but the braking's okay, so I can brake relatively late. I just have to slow down more than I would traditionally, but works. So I'm finding a way to make this car work. It's just taken me a few races. Now, China's a track that I've done well on in the past, but not terribly well. I've always been just outside of the top 10. Last time I raced it in 2017, which was the second season there, this was the first track of the year that I scored points on. So I am edging that, and I would think that I'd be capable of scoring points in this race and further increasing that difficulty level. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the practice program here in FP3, and I'll see you in qualifying.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. It's the start of the season. How do you think things are going to go for you? Are you hoping things clear up before qualifying? Appreciate your time.
With FP3 finished up and all the points available. I am now over 1,400, which is going to be enough for the next upgrade. And though I have the next upgrade coming, it is once again the long game kind of upgrade. Going for the chassis factory efficiency 3, making all the future upgrades cheaper. So 1,400 points, level 3, and that is done. Next one is going to be 1,600. Final one is 1,800. But this will decrease everything by 50%. So this is going to cut all of the chassis upgrades cost in half. Looks like qualifying might see a little bit of rain as well, but that's not going to be until the third qualifying session, and there's no doubt that I will not be getting that far. Maybe, just maybe. I was 11th in the practice qualifying.
We'd like to welcome you from wherever in the world you join us today for this F1 qualifying session here in Shanghai, China. Looking at this field today, Ant, do you think we're going to see anyone take a chance, maybe run the harder of the available compounds and save some of the grippy tyres for the race tomorrow?
Well, I'd be surprised in all honesty. It's only the front runners that really have the pace to get away with that, and even then, at the end of the day, it's a big risk. Track position is the most important thing, and it's rarely worth sacrificing for a slightly more optimal strategy in the race, so I doubt we're going to see anyone trying it. I have been wrong before though. We certainly do see some risky decisions every now and then, and it's a gamble that's sometimes worth taking. But if it were me in the car, I would want to be on the fastest tyre for my qualifying lap, without a doubt.
Fantastic. That was the fastest lap.
Fastest so far, but of course that is only myself as the first one with a lap completed. So those times are going to start changing here real soon. As time ticks away on qualifying session number 1, I am firmly in the top 15. No reason to go out for another lap. That was an excellent first lap, I think, in the end. Yes. P6, great run there. That was definitely the best lap I've had so far. Track conditions are beginning to change, though. It was mostly blue skies, partly cloudy, and we can already see the clouds are rolling in, getting a bit thicker as we head into session number 2. Actually, it looks like maybe the rain is falling. It is. So rain has come sooner than expected, and it should be clearing up right towards the end of the session. After looking at the race conditions, I decided to wait as a light rain was falling, and I figured it was going to slow times down quite a bit. And with that, and 4 minutes to go, I'm going to go ahead and head out onto track.
To open the multifunction display, and then again to cycle to the tyres and damage screen.
1 minute to go in the session. This will be my only hot lap, my only chance to get out of Q2, as I have not put together a time yet. And track conditions are pretty dicey right now. Very little grip out there.
Just 30 seconds left in the session.
Big question is now, did my strategy pay off? I waited till the last minute. Time is up on the session. This will be my only lap coming in. It feels like it's been a good one, but it's hard to tell as there was not much grip early on. Conditions improved towards the end of the lap. P5 on that. That gets me into Q3 for the first time in my driver's career. So the strategy paid off. Hamilton went through on softs. There's one reason for the upgraded position, why I was able to sneak in there. And somebody is missing. Verstappen did not make it out of Q1. So I approach the end of my first lap here in Q3. I've left definitely a few tenths of a second, maybe a half a second out on the track, maybe more. I had some oversteer on one of the turns in sector 2. Got a bit wide a couple times.
Puts you into P8.
So not the best time that I could have managed. So P8 right now. But even then, that would be a great starting spot for the race. I should have plenty of time for one more go. So I took just a few seconds too many. I went from 0 cars on track to everybody tried to go out at the exact same time. I ended up at the back of the shuffle and was coming around the final turn when time ran out on the session, meaning I did not get another hot lap, but luckily I retained P8. So we're going to be starting in 8th position for the Chinese Grand Prix. Real quick look at R&D progress as we head into the 3rd race of the season. Of course, my tactic is that long game. We're already the worst team on the grid, so what's the point of trying to make a couple quick, immediate improvements that could come with long-term costs? I'm definitely playing that longer game, knowing that the efficiency, the quality assurance are going to have long-term impacts that are going to help this team out and to get off that bottom and work our way towards the top of the grid. But the quick look at the others, Mercedes has overtaken Ferrari as top team in this race with a new upgrade. No upgrades yet from Ferrari or Red Bull. The Renault and Haas have a new upgrade fitted, giving them a little distance on McLaren. And of all these cars on where they start, all these constructors, there's only one that I'd look at and say completely inaccurate, not right at all. And you can see it in gameplay if you've watched any of the other channels, any of the other series. The McLaren. Way OP in this game. Massively overpowered. It is not at the same level of the Haas and the Renault. Should be down around the Force India. Possibly between the Force India and the Toro Rosso. The only reason why they get the results they have is because they have a great driver who's about to leave Formula One in Fernando Alonso. The car's not there. But when they put the car up there in this game, Fernando Alonso suddenly has that team all the way up near Red Bull quality. And that's not happened at any point all season. Fernando Alonso is not running up with the with the big three constructors. He's not competing with them. He's competing with Renault and Haas. Van Dorn is in the back of the grid, competing with Williams and Sauber and Toro Rosso, and occasionally with the Force India, which is why I say it should be down a lot closer to the Toro Rosso. So I think that's one mistake that Codemasters has made for this game, but otherwise I think all the cars are right about where they should be. Sauber, along with myself, are still at the bottom with no upgrades yet, and Sauber's going to climb ahead of us a bit before I get my first upgrade on the car. But at the rate I'm going, it wouldn't be too long before we at least get the first upgrade completed. On to the race.
Ever since the Sauber of Felipe Massa passed Jenson Button into turn 1 at the very first Chinese Grand Prix in 2004, Shanghai has consistently provided close racing and extraordinary memories. It's where Lewis Hamilton effectively lost the title in his rookie year, and it's where Nico Rosberg claimed Mercedes' first win of the modern era in 2012. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1, and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the Professor. As with all the drivers at this level, they have a lot of ambition. But Formula One's a daunting step up from any other series, so expectations are high right from the start.
That's right, it is a difficult environment to come into. In junior categories, you're competing against drivers with similar levels of experience. But some of these guys in Formula One have been there for over a decade. But I have to say, in this case, it's so far so good.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking
4
down the
milliseconds
rest of
ahead
the
of
grid,
Vettel.
we have Hamilton, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sainz, the Professor, Perez, Grosjean, and Kevin Magnussen, Alonso, Van Dorn, Pierre Gasly, and Ocon. Verstappen, Hartley, Nico Hülkenberg, and Charles Leclerc. Sirotkin and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So Hülkenberg had a
Finished last race. Let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Hülkenberg had a 10-place grid penalty, so he was supposed to start just ahead of me, essentially in the grid spot that I am on right now. But he's got a 10-spot grid penalty. Verstappen had a whaler of a qualified session, and here we are, starting in P7, and only my third race, following up my first point-scoring race. And of course, it can be said that a lot of that is due to the AI difficulty level as I'm growing into the F1 2018 game. Not going to hide the fact that I'm not playing on max difficulty, but I'm growing towards that. It's now 74, and if I remain in the points here today, that will, of course, climb yet again and approach at least getting ever closer to 80. Being that I made it through to Q3, I am stuck on the Ultrasauce. It looks like they are going to go away pretty quick, and those lap times are going to get pretty horrendous in a short period of time. Looking at the strategy, I'm supposed to pit on lap number 3? Really? Are they that bad? That's 52% wear after just 3 laps. You at least got to get 4 laps out of a set of tires. It looks like it will cut down the race time ever so slightly. So I will try to get 4 laps out of these tires. You know, I have a feeling these are also the tires that I used in Q3 as I was running out of sets of tires. If you look at the existing tire wear, it's pretty low already, and I don't think that's one hot lap. This will help lengthen the time with the softs, keep those going to the end of the race. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 4. Now, this is a track that I'm really, really good at fuel. So we'll go 14.1. It was already pretty low. They knew that I could keep at it in this one. And if you look at that profile, it looks like we are expecting some rain towards the end of the race. May or may not require a change to the inters. Maybe one of those cases of trying to stick it out. Depends on how late in it we are. There might be just a couple laps to go, in which case you probably tough it out and hope that you don't wreck. And with that being said, we are ready to go racing. This is the Chinese Grand Prix, the 3rd race of the season of my rookie year. Five lights, ready to go, and here we go. Long delay to the start of this race. Those lights were going a long time, but I get a pretty good start so far. But with that, Perez is by to the inside, but we've got that nice wide outside here, and we're able to stay in it. We're right behind Hamilton at this point. 3 wide, and I'm pushed off the track. Whoa, and something's going on with Hamilton there. And I go around to the inside, and looking good as I am in P6 right now. Whew. That's my oversteer on that one. Almost lost that coming out of there. That's one of my weakest corners on the track. Okay, we are in hot lap mode for now, but this might be enough. We've got a toe on Signs. We're getting awfully close to him. I've got the outside.
Right, well done off the line. We're in a good position.
Still side by side with Signs. He tries to force me out of the way, but he cannot. Oh, I'm on the inside though. Oh, we touch. I'm still on the outside. Terrible shifting. I get a warning. Straighten it out. I get going. Hamilton's right on me. He's got a toe. He was looking to go 3 wide and split us, but we both close in on him, and we're still side by side through turn number 1, and I finally pull ahead on that long turn where I take the long way around and maintain the speed and out traction in through the corner, and we are up to P5. And this is my best position ever, but there are some strong drivers behind me, and it's going to be difficult to keep them at bay. And in front of me, there's a good chance that Ricardo is going to pull away, so meaning I'm already at the high point that I could possibly be at for this race. So that light fuel load definitely helped out. Half a lap later, it's Hamilton who is now closing in on the gearbox of Carlos Sainz, looking to make a move on him. As we head on to the backstretch, he's already right up on his gearbox early. Even before the DRS zone, he's already side by side with him. But he uses the full straightaway, just about completing the pass, going into the tight corner, the penultimate corner of the race. And finally, Hamilton completes the move. But he lost some ground on myself in the process, allowing me to stay out in front as we come to the end of lap number 2, heading on to lap number 3. Now it's the Haas who's looking to make a move on Sainz, and it is very tight in that midfield behind Hamilton, who's inching out a car length at a time, trying to get away. I think at this point I'm not really racing Hamilton. I might just let him go and not challenge him for position.
Box this lap, please.
Lost a lot of time there trying to let Hamilton by. It cost me at least a second. And I'm in danger of losing not 1 but 2 positions. Plus, with pit stops ongoing, this could be damaging to our race. As we head down the backstretch, I turn up the mode, and there goes the Haas up beside us. He gets a nose ahead, but I brake late. I stay to the outside. Holding the line, holding the line. We are side by side. He's got a nose above me. I'm into the grass. To keep it, I'm going to have to let him go. I slide in behind him, and we both head into the pits. So Magnussen has overtaken me on the penultimate corner as we both head into the pits. I come in just behind him, dropping 1 position there. And we are on with the softs in heavy traffic, but I'm luckily able to get back out onto the track amidst the heavy traffic on the pit lane. And we head back out. And what has happened with Magnussen? There's no sign of Magnussen out there. And I'm out in P10. Already a good spot to be in, with there's bound to be cars that have not pit just yet. I also come out in lean fuel mode, just to get back what I've got there. First car back behind me is Force India, and there's a good little gap back there before you get to that heavy midfield. Yeah, very good distance back there. Well over a second, so nobody's coming up on me. I could be racing on my own. Potentially for best of the rest. Kevin Magnussen out of the race.
We're expecting rain in around 10 to 15 minutes.
Meanwhile, my teammate Sergei Sorokin is holding up the Ferraris, slowing them down a bit. I don't know if that's going to have any sort of impact on my race, as the Ferraris are pretty far ahead. There goes one. And the other, they are side by side heading in. This is for position, as Sorokin has not pit yet, and both Ferraris have already come in at this point. Sorokin lets him go, so both positions are lost on that straightaway, and Sorokin heads into the pits for his one and only stop. After that lap, I moved back up to P6, as a lot of cars were in the pits that time. And ahead of me now is Ricardo, who I believe Hamilton got past. It's Ricardo in P4, out of range of the Ferraris. Vettel tries to make a move on Raikkonen around the outside, but Raikkonen Great job through the corner there, holding it. They are still side by side as they head into the final corner. It's Vettel by a nose. They head down the front stretch, still side by side, and Raikkonen files in behind Vettel, letting the team leader go on to chase a championship. In real life, of course, this is the race to 5, as Vettel and Hamilton have been neck and neck so far this season. In game, though, Raikkonen and Bottas both seem to be a bit stronger than in real life, and they have definitely made it a 4-horse race, and not just the prancing pony. But the silver arrows as well. Red Bull seems to be a distant third, at least in the game. Verstappen started this race in P15. Here he is coming down the backstretch. He's got the toe, and he's going to make the move on the Force India. He's also got DRS. He's already up beside him at that point. He makes the easy pass here. And that puts him up to P6 over Sergio Perez. Next up, my car. He's got quite some distance to cover, though, as he crosses the start-finish line. I'm already well around turn number 1, heading into 2 and 3. Halfway through this Grand Prix, I'm a little light on fuel, but I'm very comfortably in 6th place. But Max Verstappen has made his way through the midfield just in the last little bit, and his next target will be myself. I've still got a good gap over him. You can't even see him back down the front stretch. But in the last 6 laps here, you figure he will continue to close us down and eventually overtake me for P6. But if I can hold him off, that's P6. If not, we're looking at P7 for the race. So this is a very good day, and it all came down to that first lap. First 2 laps, really. Here on lap 10, I really start to feel the car going away from me. A lot of oversteer there, and just like that, Verstappen has closed me down. My big concern now is no longer about keeping P6. It's going to be a lot more about... And here he goes past me now. It's going to be a lot more about keeping Perez at bay. Still have a decent gap on Perez, but certainly not that big. See if I can't keep up with Verstappen for a little bit at least and keep the toe going. My tires are really starting to go away from me here, and I'm finding as the track conditions are changing with rain imminent that I'm struggling for grip now. In a car that already struggles for grip, I'm likely one of the first ones to really be feeling it, and I'm losing time. But here with that toe on Verstappen, you can see that I was 0.3 better, but that was a bad little stretch there. That's going to allow him to get away from me here. If I can get a run with the DRS, if I could stay within 1 second, that would give us a huge gap over Perez. So I do want to use that overtake mode for now to try to keep it close. Lost a little time here, but I'm still a 10th to the good on my personal best at this point. No, we do not get the overtake. The DRS missed out on it. Well, after not getting DRS on the backstretch, I actually close him up a little bit and get DRS on the front stretch. Not as big of a boost on that front stretch as it is on the backstretch, but it really helps get Perez off my back here late in this race. So I think this is an excellent time to use up my ERS. I really don't think I have much of a hope of catching and passing Verstappen. It's just more about using him to keep Perez away.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining.
Again, here on lap 12, DRS on the front stretch only, but not on that back stretch beforehand. So that little bit of a toe absolutely helps. But it's that back stretch where I would really benefit from it, especially with the slower Renault engine. I think that's kind of why I am gaining it on him in that back stretch, but that he pulls away from me on the rest of the track. 2 laps to go. I'm safe from now Van Dorn in 7th. All I can really do now is actually try to make a push on Verstappen, who's still not that far in front of me, but he's got more pace than me for sure.
This is your final lap of the race. There's only 1 lap of fuel remaining.
Fuel, I'm good. It's the ERS that's gone. The rain held off. It's supposed to be coming any minute here.
Heavy rain arriving in under 10 minutes.
Running my fastest lap of the race here, using everything I've got.
Is 11.0 seconds.
No ERS. Not gonna catch him here. ERS is gone. Whoa! A lot of oversteer on the final corner. That was my last chance to catch him, but we are looking at P7 while the field continues to fight over P8 behind me. Get a little bit of a snoozer. The only action I got was Verstappen in those first couple of laps, but an excellent race. P7, big points, and we're going to go from 74 on that AI difficulty up to 78 now, and we're nearly hitting that level where we're starting to get closer to elite status. Of course, I'm still far short of the top racers out there, but we're only 3 races into the season.
Looking after the tires, but at the end of it all,
We got a long ways to go in this career.
the package that's got the speed over everyone else. And that's
Hamilton
exactly what
only
they
manages P5.
I'd
actually thought he had even climbed as high as P4 early on, but he never got above that position. Remember, he did start a little further back in the field and had a problem early on, so I don't know if he took some damage. Somewhere around the 3rd corner or so, he dropped off the pace quite a bit, so I'm wondering if he took some wing damage. That held Hamilton back to 5th, but it looks like Bottas gets the win today, with Vettel 2nd, Raikkonen 3rd.
And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. It's a good result for Sebastian Vettel, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Well, after a drive like that, it's got to be Max Verstappen, hasn't it? Very clean, very smooth. He can be really pleased with that one.
And now let's take a look at the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Another team that excelled today was Williams, who make further progress up the table. Well, what a weekend that has been. Please join us next time for another thrilling instalment of this Formula One season.
As mentioned, my team makes progress in the Constructors as I go up to P4. Of course, that's higher than Williams should be, but that's 2 races at 7th place, 6 points each. Big boost to the scoring. But each time I score again, it's going to get tougher, and that's going to slow down that progress, especially as right now, I'm not getting upgrades into the car itself. So we will start sliding backwards, especially as I hit some tougher races, tracks that I'm not as good as. The Chinese Grand Prix is one that I've done 4 or 5 times already in the 2016, 2017 editions, and now 2018. And so it's a track I'm a bit more comfortable with, while I still struggle with others. So I'm a little hit and miss right now due to that inexperience. So some tracks just perform better than others. Looking back at the driver standings, I'm actually P7 overall right now, with those 2 7th place finishes, and of course the big 6 lead the way with Vettel and Raikkonen at either end of that. Very tight though between Verstappen, Ricciardo, and Raikkonen, all 1 point separating one another, and Bottas and Hamilton level on 43 points right now. A full race win behind Sebastian Vettel. My teammate has yet to get off and scoring this season, but he is not alone in that, as quite a few drivers, even Leclerc and Magnussen, have yet to score any points this season.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
Having a great team and car. No, you know what? I'm going to go with the showmanship on that one.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
Certainly didn't dampen my spirits. I'll be sarcastic.
It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it?
Not sure what happened out there, to be honest, because I don't remember what happened.
Great. Well, that's everything.
I think I had one little knock, like on the first lap, where, what was it, signs pushed me off a little bit. So, rivalry continues to go my way as we are up 18-9 over Sorokin. He has definitely struggled so far. He's back where I should be at this point. I should be competing outside of the top 10. Not necessarily last place, because we're not distant in last place. But to be all the way up in P7 is definitely a bit too high. But that's why the AI difficulty will be raised yet again. Another 4 points, up to 78 following this race. Pick up another 223 resource points. We've got a ways to go to the next level. Reputation with other teams takes a pretty good boost. And we're back to dead center between sportsmanship and showmanship.
Excellent result today. Finishes like that will look good on your contract reviews. On to the next one.
And that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.